Hi, this is Theo, and you're listening to Between Two Trains, a bi-monthly business podcast where we interview the best and brightest entrepreneurs in the North DeKalb area. Today, your co-hosts are Van Pappas of Oxygen Financial and Jason Wheelock of Wheelock Realty. And now, Between Two Trains.
All right, good morning and welcome to Between Two Trains, a business podcast. We are in the beautiful studios of the Chamblee Chamber of Commerce in downtown Chamblee. Once again, for a second episode in a row, I got Jason Wheelock as a co-host. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Van, glad to be back 2 episodes in a row.
Yes, Tom's going to be a little jealous of you. We'll bring him on at a future episode. But as always, we are going to do a segment called Entrepreneur Talk. Jason, what's our topic this week?
We're going to talk about LinkedIn, which is a really, I think, interesting social media tool that's becoming a lot more interactive.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
I am too. Yeah. In fact, I use it quite religiously. And there's some things I think that business owners, entrepreneurs, even just the average W-2 employee can do to bring on more connections in their LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So how do you make connections in LinkedIn? Do you do anything special?
Yeah, what's interesting is LinkedIn at one point to me was almost viewed, I think it's just a profile to like post my resume, right? If you wanted to look me up and know my professional background, it would be there. And now it's become, I think, more in line with other social media places like Facebook and Instagram, in a sense, are a lot more posting interaction. So I take advantage of not only looking up other professionals that are relevant to me, I love to look for talent on there.
Yeah. I think you're missing the boat, Jason. Here's why I say that.
Yeah.
I think if you think of it just as a place to look at someone's resume, you're missing the power that LinkedIn has to be able to make a connection and drive more leads to you, drive more potential clients to you. One of the tools that I use in conjunction with LinkedIn is a thing called Duck Soup. Have you heard of Duck Soup?
I haven't.
All right, so this is like a Google Chrome extension that you add to your browser, and you can really grow your connections, 500 to 5,000 more connections very rapidly through this automated system that Duck Soup happens. You can go online and look up Duck Soup and get more information. Another one like Duck Soup that sort of LinkedIn has is called ProFinder. It's a little bit different because it is connecting people in sort of a marketplace where, if you offer a service, you can offer your service on the ProFinder and then someone can connect with you. Let's say you needed a plumber. It might be on that ProFinder. So those are two of the 5 things that I want to talk to you today about on how to make more connections in LinkedIn.
I'm a little bit interested in this Duck Soup because it sounds like one of those annoying bots where you're messaging or connecting with thousands of people. Yeah. So can you give me a quick idea of how that works?
I think that's really something we could take offline because it is a little more detailed, but the gist of it is something that overlays to be able to automate sending out those connections to be able to attract more people to connect with you on LinkedIn.
I'll trust your judgment
what
on
you
this.
really need to do before you use things like ProFinder and Duck Soup is learn what your social selling score is. Now, out of all the people that I come across, when I ask, what's your LinkedIn social selling score? Most people are like, what in the world are you talking about? And if you go to linkedin.com/sales/SSI, you can, and you're logged into your LinkedIn account, you can actually see what your social score is.
Wow.
And, you just pulled it up?
I actually, right here.
You want to announce
podcast,
online what your social score is?
I'm a little bashful, but without a lot of effort, it says my industry rank is 3%, industry SSI. Would that put me in the top 3% of search?
So what's the actual score?
It just says 59 out of 100.
59 out of 100. You got a long way to go, Jason.
Okay.
We need to talk offline about how we can get that up to a much higher. Our guests that are coming on later have some insight onto that social selling score. I will tell you mine is dramatically higher than yours. Where mine are in the mid to high 80s.
You baited me on this,
yes,
didn't
I
you?
did. There are some other things, though, besides these things that we've talked about that you need to do in your LinkedIn profile to be able to attract more people. One thing I always tell my clients to do and my business owners are to add publications. Add those to your profile. Many people never add anything like skills or publications to their profile, and you don't get as many people looking at. Also, some people feel uncomfortable with this, but I think it's important to put your phone number on there. If people, I can't tell you how many LinkedIn profiles I'll go to look up to find out something about someone, and I'm like, oh, I really want to call them, and their phone number is nowhere to be found on their LinkedIn profile. So
I actually think that has a lot to do with who you are on LinkedIn. If you work for a big company where recruiters are calling you all the time, probably less likely to want to have your number on there. As an entrepreneur, though, it sounds
I think
like
as an
the right
entrepreneur,
move.
you have to do that.
Exactly.
And I've never had a recruiter call me
Right.
off of my phone number, off of LinkedIn, so I'm not quite sure, who these recruiters are looking at. But I think as an entrepreneur, if you want someone to make a connection with you, make a sale with you, whatever your business is, if you don't give them an easy way to contact you, you're going to miss out. They're going to move on to someone else, the next financial planner or the next real estate agent. So
one of my really close friends owns a recruiting firm, and all they do is sit on LinkedIn and contact people to essentially poach them and move them to different jobs. It's really interesting. LinkedIn is the source for many recruiters and HR folks now.
Well, we could talk about this for a long time, but I want to get to our guests. You are listening to Between Two Trains, a business podcast. We have a great set of guests coming up. Their company is Remote Home Check, and we'll hear about them right after the break from our sponsors. Are you a business owner or entrepreneur? We'd love to get your story on Between Two Trains. Shoot us an email at betweentwotrains@gmail.com. That's between the number 2 trains@gmail.com.
If you recently got divorced, you may be wondering how to pick up all of the financial pieces. Is it time to make a new budget, new goals, and get a new game plan with your investments? What about the best way to save money on your taxes? Take control of your money future. Go to oxygenfinancial.net to schedule a complimentary meeting today. Go to oxygenfinancial.net to get started right now.
Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Kestra Advisory Services, an affiliate of Kestra Investment Services. Oxygen is not affiliated with Kestra.
All right, welcome back to Between Two Trains. You are listening to a business podcast where we interview the best and brightest entrepreneurs of the North DeKalb area. Today we have a company called Remote Home Check. We have two individuals from Remote Home Check, Greg Burke and Jeff Hill. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, guys.
All right.
Nice to meet you guys.
So I guess let's start by, Remote Home Check. I think of 12 million things when I hear those words. Tell us exactly what Remote Home Check is.
Right. So Remote Home Check is essentially a way to monitor via the Internet of Things folks as they go through retirement, maybe start to see some things in their abilities or in their mental faculties, to be able to help those people identify some of the challenges that they're having, and then again through the IoT data, be able to provide some proactive insights into the wellness of that person.
Wow.
That's a mouthful right there. So how does that work? There's a device that you give to the individual, and I mean, are we talking about like the commercials we see where I've fallen and I can't get up, or what's that? I don't even remember what that company is.
Life Alert.
Life Alert.
Yeah.
Life Alert. Are we talking about something like that, or
So this is a little bit different. You think about Life Alert; it's very reactive, right? Someone's already fallen and broken their hip, right? We want to be proactive and be able to say, hey, you may want to take a look at your dad's ability to get in and out of a chair, right? Or how are they driving, right? One of the things that we see is the ability to tap into, is someone taking too many hard brakes? Is someone accelerating too quickly? You can really start to gauge some metrics on driver usability as well. But all of this is really designed to be able to give insight into the overall wellness, right? So you think about retirement today, usually an age that starts, 65, right, and goes until the average person lives till they're 79 years old. So you've got a nice span of time there that someone could potentially, have their facilities, their ability to do things really kind of diminish. And a lot of times it has a really long-lasting effect that happens over time. That's kind of how my story came into this. I thought of remote home check because my dad, who lives up in Canton, he slipped and fell in the shower, and he hit his head on the towel bar. And when he got up, he was kind of out of sorts and went and just laid down. And my mom an hour later was like, where is he? She was just making dinner. And so she went into the bedroom, and he was like passed out and ended up going to the hospital. He had a concussion. This kind of whole situation arose out of it, I'm sure. So that was eye-opening to me that, if my mom hadn't been there, like, he could have very easily been there for like days or weeks. And you always hear these kind of terrible stories about that happening. So I started to think, how can we just proactively see how someone's doing, just to check in and see how they're doing? And we recognize that Internet of Things is something that's just kind of burgeoning. But what we see is that technology is ingrained in any device or, appliance that you buy today, because that's kind of the way things are going. And I really think of remote home check as a way to be able to our mission is to enhance the human experience through technology. That's really our focus. How can you hear all these bad things about hackers and all this sort of stuff, and yeah, there is a lot of that stuff that goes on, but to be protected against that is hugely important. That's something that we've integrated into our service. Battery backup to ensure that the system is always online. We are really putting together packages, bundles of products that really are designed to serve our customer. So, for example, if you go to our website at www.remotehomecheck.com, one of the things you'll see is that we've actually approached this from a pretty different position than this has been approached before. We're asking, what is the condition that you're dealing with? Is it, is there Parkinson's, cancer? Is it Alzheimer's? There are a variety of different things that people experience as they go through being older. And then we also ask, what are your concerns about that person? What led you to believe that maybe they might need a little bit of extra assistance? And so we want to be able to address those things. Based on the answers that we get there, we're actually able to take the customer through a complete buying experience where they are able to appropriately size their location, and then we can determine what kind of details you want to be provided. And that's a process that goes with both our team as well as the person who is doing the monitoring and the person who's being monitored as well. We can actually engage everyone if they want in that conversation. But, this is an opportunity, I think, to merge where you have an interest in healthcare and you have an interest in the baby boomer population that's growing so rapidly. We want to be able to help to solve a problem that's common in both of those places.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have any more questions.
That was so. How does someone go about? So I have an 81-year-old mother.
Mm-hmm.
My father is passed. She's by herself.
Yep.
What do I do next?
Sure. What you would do is we would welcome you to go to www.remotehomecheck.com and check out our white paper. We actually have a really good source of information. Feel free. We have a communicator on our webpage. If you have any questions, we would love to be able to chat with you about it, address any concerns or questions that people have.
So I was actually on your website as we were talking, and I noticed some of the various conditions that you have you would check off if it was related to you or your loved one's condition. Right. Even depression was listed on there. Mm-hmm. So this device could actually give intuition or insight into somebody's mental state as well?
Yeah, so the idea behind Remote Home Check is to be able to provide not just these devices that are able to sense how someone's doing, but also provide services that tie in as well. That's one of the unique things that we're able to do.
Give an example of a service.
Sure. So we're partnering with a company that is providing UIL certified monitoring behind our solution, right? So we're going to be able to address the health questions, be able to provide health insights, be able to address security concerns. We've talked a little bit about how we're going to be addressing online threats and hackers and things like that. Battery backup. The overall solution is so much more than what you get from kind of a big telco type solution that is really not designed for this purpose. It was the next stage, I think, is purpose built IoT devices and with security practices and designs around being a tool for people who are in this situation.
Now, you mentioned the demographic being senior citizens, baby boomers. We've got a large population that's aging. Is there an environment, one over the other? So, for example, my 81-year-old mother still lives in the same home that I grew up in. Is it single-family residence that you're looking for? Is it, we have all these 55 and up apartment complexes that are being built. Does it matter where the environment is, or it's across all areas?
It's across all, and it's built on an open platform, right? So new functionality can even be built in. A lot of that comes from the people that we're getting feedback from as we go through our testing processes on this before we launch. And that's really kind of where we are. We've got a kind of a cool promotion we'd like to talk about later in the show for listeners. But we really see that it really is a long 13, 14 years is kind of the average amount of time that passes before someone needs additional care, right? And we've got a situation that has really been created. 90% of seniors want to stay in their own home as they age, that's according to the AARP. It's often referred to as like aging in place. Are you guys familiar with that term?
Sure.
And the average annual cost of in-home elder care is like $20,000, right? That's a huge expense for a lot of people out there. So we want to be able to help to reduce that cost of care for folks. Even if we're able to, put a system in and it gives you insights for 8 months, and maybe that 8 months just happened to be before, someone was about to take a slip and fall or something like that, the system is totally worth what it's able to do, and it reduces the overall cost of care potentially as well, and more importantly gives seniors what they want. They want to stay in their own home as they age. I think that's a real it's a question of dignity, and I think that this kind of draws like a common ground where we can both be proactive to ensure that our loved ones and people that we care about are around as long as they can be, but also be able to give them the comforts that they want and understand, that there are these conditions that people are affected by, and there are going to be some challenges that occur, going through that process, and that's one of the things we shoot to be able to help people with.
Interesting what you just said. I'm not sure if you have the data you need to produce this, but have you or are you planning to calculate and market to folks how much an average savings one can realize as a result of this? Because it sounds like potentially tens of thousands of dollars in independence, even for a few months. Because I know my grandmother's in assisted living, and I think her facility is probably $30,000 to $40,000 a year right now.
And we're not saying by any stretch of the imagination that there's never a point in time where true assisted living is going to be needed, but I'm talking about when they're living in their own home, or maybe they're in a senior care facility, right? And you just want to check in and be able to say, how are you doing, right? I think that there are some really interesting ways that we can use data. We actually have several partners where we are going through a data mining process right now to be able to extrapolate some of the things that we're looking to be able to do. And we've got a great team in place. Greg Burke is our COO. Greg really helps us, the customer experience, right? Like how our customers are, looking to be treated as Greg's responsibility. And we see this as, technology can be confusing for a lot of people. We want to make it easy. So we're actually going to go out and be able to install the systems in folks' homes as well, and be able to provide them the support they need. So, the system is going to be set up correctly, and that, you're part of a larger group that's kind of the neat thing about it, right? Is as you start to use this system, the entire system actually gets more intelligent, right? Because the more data that we can feed it, the more intelligent these systems can get. The power of computing is amazing these days, and that's really our quest, is to be able to leverage that technology for the betterment of the human experience.
So I know you don't have an actual brick and mortar store. You're really an IT service. You're online. In the first segment before the break, we were talking about LinkedIn. What kind of social media sites or online stuff do you do to try to go after potential seniors? I understand that there are now almost more seniors on Facebook than Gen Xers. I'm a Gen Xer, and they're, my mother's like, "Oh, I was on Facebook." I'm like, "Oh no."
You more of an Instagram guy?
No, I'm not an Instagram guy. I'm more of a,
because that's really still Facebook.
okay.
Well, there's more of them than there are you,
Yeah.
and so with the largest segment of the population, right?
Yeah.
So not really surprised.
About to be overturned by millennials. Millennials are starting to overtake in population size over baby boomers.
Are millennials just everybody born after 1980 till the end of time?
Yeah, it's something like that. Mid 80s on. I think it might actually be 91, 92 on is considered a millennial.
Interesting. Another topic, another
Yes.
podcast.
So, but back to the question,
Yes.
What social media are y'all doing to try to promote your business? And it sounds like maybe, we've got some launches here, promotion launches, product launches that only here on Between Two Trains, people are going to hear for the first time.
This is the first product release ever announced on Between Two
Between
Trains.
Two
I just want to
Trains
make that
gets-
official.
Gets
exciting,
the official.
This is a start. We're starting
Yes.
a trend here.
Well, Greg and I are both from Chamblee, and so we wanted to let entrepreneurs out there know that, there are tons of us here in Chamblee, and there's a really great community as well kind of surrounding it. But that's off topic a little bit. Greg, do you have any thoughts on social media or how to up your LinkedIn whatnots?
Yeah, I'm definitely not as high of an SSI score as you are by any means, but we do have a great Facebook page. We encourage people to go check us out on Facebook. We have some good articles on there about aging in place and how we're able to help the target audience that we're going after. And we're also bringing on new social media platforms every day. We're going to have LinkedIn and Instagram. We're going to have probably the whole suite of things.
Yeah, we're actually using a social media aggregator that allows us to send out to multiple, you just load in your account information and boom, it connects, and we're able to connect with people that way as well.
Nice. All right. Well, since Greg did mention it, we got to know what's your social selling score on LinkedIn. Can you beat Jason's 59?
Let's just.
Who's going to beat that? Come
yes,
on.
but okay. Let me just say, the way that anyone does LinkedIn, everyone can raise their SSI, and it's very easy, especially when you think about the way that they score SSIs. It's like, are you connecting with the right people? Right? If you're in an industry, is this person relevant to you? That's something to think about. Are you creating content that people care about? And I think, to me, this is the biggest takeaway that I have on LinkedIn, which is, there are a million people out there doing your job, right? How do you differentiate yourself? And if you can become, if you have a customer who's on LinkedIn and their experience is, oh, I keep seeing so-and-so pop up with content that is relevant to me, right? Then he's more likely to, do business with that person. And you got to kind of look at LinkedIn as a platform that can help you, especially as an entrepreneur, help you find so many different kinds of people that you can work with.
So one of the things I struggle with as a business owner, honestly, is that the social media part of it could be a full-time job. Do you facilitate and focus on most of your own social media? Are you the man behind the social media account, or do you have folks to help you with that and help create the content? Or?
Yeah, I am kind of the person behind that. I enjoy kind of creating content and stuff like that. We do have a team of folks who, Remote Home Check is designed to be something that helps people, and part of that help is in education. And we want people to seek us out for information on maybe you're going through something that's difficult, as it pertains, is there a way that we can leverage technology to help? Those are the type of conversations we want to help people out with, because our team has really done a good job of going and making sure that each one of these things is something that provides important information. So that kind of leads up to the promotion here. We are very interested in being able to create what is called metadata, which for your listeners that don't know, metadata is the data about the data, right? So it's not, Van's information, it is a male, that kind of thing, and you are this age, and, there's statistics about people. So, as we start to look at people, there are ways that we can really be able to create some information that could be insightful for organizations that are trying to find cures and research and stuff like that. So we want all of that to be something that we can kind of be relied on from an informational standpoint.
So metadata is insight into the data.
So this is kind of a hot topic right now, but yeah, it's, we've seen Facebook, that's such an interesting thing that's going on there, because it's a situation where there's no regulation around that, right? And I get why a lot of people are concerned about that. We respect the dignity of people in their own homes, and that data is completely their data, right? We're just looking for information about people with Alzheimer's or whatever this condition is, so that we have better insight into it, and so that we can continue to make the system smarter as we go through the process. Okay. Everyone is a key piece to helping here, and I'm sure that anyone who is unfortunate enough to have one of these conditions would want to be able to give back, especially if it is anonymous. You're giving that data to research so that you can further assist those folks.
Well, you've been listening to Between Two Trains, and we've got Greg Burke and Jeff Hill from Remote Home Check here with us. Guys, we're going to move into our last segment here of the show, a game we call Hot or Not.
Mm-hmm. But Van, before we jump into Hot or Not,
yes,
I did want to get to the promotion.
Okay.
Can I do that real quick?
Absolutely, okay. Yeah, please.
So Remote Home Check, we are starting from a position where we want to learn everything about our system, how users are using it, what their initial thoughts are on it, and we know that there are so many people out there listening today who may not directly be affected by a senior who's kind of going through some of these conditions, but they may know someone who is, right? And what we're doing today is we are actually going to be able to offer 10 folks here in Chamblee a free system if they agree to, help us to understand the best ways to use the system and how it's most effective for them.
I think
awesome.
I think we have a candidate for that already between you and me, Van.
Yeah. So we have some listeners that are not just in the Chamblee market, Brookhaven,
sure.
Dunwoody. Does it just need to be a Chamblee resident, or can it be
not, no.
North DeKalb area?
Yep, just go to www.remotehomecheck.com and fill out the application form. There's an other field. Just put eval or test in that field, and you can submit it on our website.
Excellent.
Would you submit by the name of the person or your name if you were going to add somebody to that list?
You are the person. This person is the person who is interested in having some insights into the wellness of someone that they're tasked with caring for.
Okay. Cool. So, for example, I would put my mother in if I wanted my mother's I wanted to know her insights.
Actually, what we would do is we would put you in as the contact, right?
Okay.
And you would tell us the concerns that we don't know your mother's information. That comes later in the registration process. You just give us that initial information, and it helps us to kind of start the conversation around what size does this need to be, how can we best serve them, and we're building models around this, and that's kind of what this data helps us to do is understand our customers and be able to provide a solution that's very helpful to them.
That's very cool.
That is incredible. So let's get to, because we're going to run out of time here if we don't do it, and I want to get some hot or nots in. Hey, it's not on my list, but I'm going to say metadata since you brought it up. Hot or not?
I think it's incredibly hot. You hear about big data and the ways that it is being used, and I've thought quite a bit about this, and we see the data out there, and we have to realize that as humans, right, not computers, we are really the true innovation. Right, and what I'm saying is that the uniqueness is our ability to, feel or sympathize or care for other people, right? And that's a direction we should be headed as a society. But remote home check truly exists to enhance the human experience, and we hear about all this stuff that's happening all the time with hackers and viruses and stuff. But what about being able to have knowledge faster? What if you could aggregate data to make solutions even more helpful? Asking questions kind of like, how can we leverage technology to do things we do faster, right? So I think that if we can ascertain knowledge faster, I think that is the direction that we should be going, because it's going to allow us and folks like me and Greg to try to help more folks.
I think we got time for one more hot or not. You got one you want to give him, Jason?
Why don't we go a little lighter on this and say, I don't know. What do you think? Senior citizens on smartphones?
Yeah, I think you.
I actually want to make a note. I accidentally used that one last week on the podcast through our.
So the hot or not is senior citizens with smartphones. Is that hot or not so hot? Greg is smiling there. I want to hear Greg's answer. This one.
My personal opinion on it is I think it's hot. Whether they're able to use, my parents are senior citizens and they both have smartphones. They send me picture messages, they text, they get on apps. So I would say it's hot. They use it. Do they use it maybe the same level that younger folks do? Probably not, but they've definitely embraced the smartphone and given up their flip phones and their rotary dials. So I would say it's hot.
I don't knock the rotary dial. My mother still has a rotary dial in her home.
Very cool. I would recommend.
Yeah, when you press the buttons, it goes.
I was going to say I would recommend an app here. It's called TeamViewer, and what it allows you to do is you can actually pull up like your mom or dad if they're having some technical issues, which we all know happens from time to time. We have to deal with. You can actually pull that up and help them to figure out what the problem is
on their
computer, or on your cell phone. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm going to throw in one more, even though we're out of time, and it's age 55 plus apartments, which I'm in real estate, so I'm already going to say it's on fire because we have such a need for that. Heck, we finally got a really good one here in Chamblee called the Mercy Center. But what do you guys think about 55 plus apartments? Hot or not?
Yeah, well, clearly the entire real estate sector is hot, so it's hard to say anything in real estate is not hot. But 55 plus apartments, I think it is hot. I think it's a great trend. There's a lot of older folks who don't want the maintenance of a home and the maintenance of a yard and everything that goes with it, so they want to still be very active. They want to be in the city. They want to be near amenities, but they don't want to spend all their time doing all the regular house maintenance things that somebody might have in a larger home.
Yeah, I agree. Very hot. Well, you've been listening to Between Two Trains. We've had Jeff Hill and Greg Burke from Remote Home Check. Go onto their website and check them out. Guys, any parting words for our listeners?
Greg, anything?
No, I'm really excited to give away these 10 test homes. I think it's going to be really a great opportunity for somebody to get some valuable insights into the loved one that they're looking after. And I'm really looking forward to doing that and helping out some people locally.
That is exciting, and that is one of the reasons that we wanted to come in and talk with you, Van.
Well, we
connect with the local folks on the benefit.
We are so appreciative that you made Between Two Trains the launching point for this great promotion.
More than happy to make it happen.
Jason, thanks again for being on the show.
Man.
You got anything
Enjoy
you want
it.
to lead us out on? Or
Man, I already put a submission in for someone that our team knows really well, right?
You didn't
here
waste it.
locally.
All right, well, now there's
So-
9 left because
Yeah.
Jason's already got one in.
Taking
Very
advantage of
nice.
those promotions one
I
by
like
one.
it.
So,
Again, you have been listening to Between Two Trains. You can hear us this episode and all past episodes on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and our website, betweentwotrains.com.
Hi, this is Greg Burke with Remote Home Check.
Hi, this is Jeff Hill with Remote Home Check, and you've been listening to Between Two Trains.